Okay, thank you very much for joining us today. I think we still have 1 or 2 minutes, so in case you're interested in the topic of sustaining rail freight along the New Silk Road, please do take a seat in the audience before us. Are we ready? Everyone okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you very much for joining us today on this very interesting topic. My name is Ziwei, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of New Silk Road Network. Today, the topic we have is a very interesting one, which is sustaining rail freight along the New Silk Road. So, rail freight has really been one of the flagship products people talk about when referring to the New Silk Road, specifically the China-EU Express Rail. Now, another key topic that has always come hand in hand in this is really the topic of the subsidies provided by the Chinese government in order to encourage the usage of rail freight and also maintain the prices at an acceptable level. However, there has been rumors or actually official statements in the past few years that the subsidies will at one point cease to exist. Now, prior to the pandemic, we have already seen a reduction in the subsidies. However, in the last months with the pandemic, at the current price levels we are experiencing, we have already caught wind that the subsidies have already ceased at this point to exist. So evidently in the last few months, with the impact or the, let's say, the issue of capacity on sea freight and air freight, there has been a lot of new companies undertaking rail freight and discovering its benefits. Only in 2020, we have seen a 15% growth in terms of the volume transported on rail compared to 2019. However, at the same time, operators, terminals, freight forwarders alike experience problems in creating a self-sustaining yet profitable market for rail freight in the long term. Now, as several questions still need to be asked, how to make this upcoming industry more competitive in the market. And today we have on stage with us 4 panelists from various different backgrounds, companies and industries who would be able to give us some insights about this topic. So allow me to first introduce Mr. Stefan Esztergalyos from METRANS. He is the head of business development for the CEE market. Next to him is Mr. Tomasz Langowski, who is the vice president of the board at Langowski Logistics, based in Poland. Further there we have Mr. Komora, who is currently the managing director of PKZ Slovakia and also the president of Association of Logistics and Freight Forwarding in Slovakia. And last but not least, we have Mr. Stefan Kubatz, who is the managing director of SCL, Swiss Container Line Speditions, which is a 100% daughter company of Atlantic Forwarding based in Switzerland. So these will be the panelists that are joining me today. And with that being said, let's get started with the first questions. So first of all, as all of you come from different companies and different countries, actually, would you please be able to give us a quick description of the current status quo of the development of the New Silk Road options in your country? I think we will start from, let's say, left to right. So maybe, Stefan, you can start first.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody. We have seen that during the last 2, 3, maybe 4 years, we have seen heavy growth of the Silk Road. We as METRANS are active part of Silk Road movements through our partners in China. We are cooperating directly with Chinese platforms. And from year to year, we are growing with the volume which we are moving on Silk Road corridor.
Perfect. Mr. Langowski?
I'm from Poland, representing Poland, so let me tell you something about Polish market. So same situation from a couple of years. We in Poland can observe the bigger and bigger interest of New Silk Road network, New Silk Road. and traffic from China to Poland, as well as from Poland to China. I remember times like 7-8 years ago, we have a big problem to convince customers to use this solution. Today, there is no such problem. We do not complain for number of orders which we received. So there we can observe the big demand for this service. So from this point of view, we cannot complain. We cannot complain, but as you already mentioned, there are a few problems which we are facing these days, and I hope there will be a chance to discuss about these problems.
Perfect. Mr. Komora.
Good evening. In Slovakia, the situation is slightly different as in Poland, and the reason of this is special geographical position of Slovak Republic and the history. Not only Slovak history, but especially history of relation between Ukraine and Russia. We can tell you that a few years before, approximately 60% of goods which have traveled from east to west through the Slovak, Polish and Hungarian border come to the European space or European territory through the Slovak border. Yes, of course, it was responsibility of steelworks in Košice, but 60% was interesting, and also all hubs on Slovakia border was ready to reload everything, and shipments could continue to the west. Now, regarding the Silk Road, we years before welcome in Bratislava first direct train from China to Slovakia. We were so lucky, but now we cannot tell that we have regular weekly trains from China. Sometimes it happens, but it's not regular. And for example, as a colleague from METRANS told, they are only one big operator which have direct trains from China to our territory. And to be honest, from approximately 5 trains per week, majority of these trains is not coming to Slovakia, but to Hamburg or to Česká Třebová or to Milano, and return back to our territory. It means Slovakia is slightly bit behind all of our colleagues, and we are here to change this situation. And I can tell that last week we finally confirmed agreement or preparation of new support scheme based on European Union support, which could help us to change the situation of Slovak Republic, because you know, to be first place of reloading on territory of European Union is also interesting for the government and for Ministry of Finance.
Thank you very much. Stefan, would you like to give a bit of insight from both the German and Swiss market?
Thanks to be here. Hello, everybody. My name is Stefan Kuberts. I'm the MD of Swiss Container Line in Hamburg. And I have to say that the German economy is strong enough to come over this pandemic, thanks God, I have to say. There is no big difference, no big influence because of COVID. Especially in our industry, in the forwarding industry, I have to say, I'm doing this business more than 40 years, and I never had such increasing rates in my whole life. So I think, and I'm quite sure that we will have the situation still in the next year. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I think quite a few of you mentioned that in the last couple of years, the sheer volume and number along the China-EU rail has been growing, even without the current support of subsidies. So I guess my question is, do you think this trend of growth on the rail freight side, whether it's for markets that are already a bit more advanced, such as Poland and Germany, or for new markets that are trying to still establish their foothold, like Slovakia, is the trend of growth for the rail freight here to stay even once the pandemic is over? And why would you, and next question would be then why? Maybe this question I would direct first to Stefan from METRANS.
Yeah. Okay. As mentioned, we have seen heavy growth not only across Europe but also in the countries like Slovakia, Hungary, Romania is growing fast, very fast. Also Serbia, what was in the past not really like the booming country. For example, for Slovakia, we have seen that since January till August this year, nearly 24% growth on the Silk Road movements. But even beside that number of very nice growth, the trains are still not directly routed to Slovakia. So we as METRANS are connecting these shipments through our hub terminals in Czech Republic, and then by feeder service moving to Slovakia or the countries like mentioned before. But yeah, coming back to your question, if there will be still demand for Silk Road movements or rail movements from China to Europe after the pandemic or after subsidies from the government will go down, we are assuring that yes. And the reason behind is that it's not only about subsidies. It's not only about some specific customers or specific commodities, but the customers really realized on the market that rail freight from China to Europe has its own place, has its own value, which it can bring to the supply chain, and even we will go down. Now we see that the rates are nearly the same as without subsidies, and the volume is still booming and growing. So yeah, of course, we are assuring that there will be still place for that.
Thank you. Mr. Komora, I think you have something to add there.
Yes. My colleague from METRANS do not want to talk something what is necessary to tell. The most important situation, except of support of the government, is possibility to overcome problems between Russia and Ukraine. And METRANS is company which did this, and they have started direct train to Slovakia. It means this is reason one of the main reasons why I think that future of Silk Road through the Slovakia is on a good way. Second one, of course, is the state government, but last one and not least is also geographical position, because we have a good relation and a good train and contacts to the Adriatic ports, and you who are working in the sea freight and rail freight know that this contact is extremely important because of necessity to return back containers, and therefore METRANS, which have connections also to the Adriatic ports, to Italy, and also to China, is good player on this part of our business.
Thank you. Tomasz, from the Polish market, so you mentioned in the previous question that you saw a lot of growth as well. Of course, this is part of the impact of the pandemic, but again, the question for you, do you think the trend is here to stay after the pandemic, and why?
Well, first maybe I will also add something to the previous question about subsidies. So as we all know, subsidies, Chinese trains or trains coming from China to Europe started before announcing One Belt, One Road initiative, right, by President of China. So before there were any subsidies, and I remember the times when the rate from China to Poland was on well, let's say similar level like we have these days, or maybe even lower, like $10,000 per container, and so. That time, that was just the beginning, but there were some customers who were interested in this solution, even if that was not so popular and known like it is today. So today, just like my colleague from METRANS said, this solution has already a stable position on the market. So it's between the ocean freight and between air freight. It's not. This is not a competition between sea freight and rail freight, or between rail freight and air freight. Just from the beginning, the definition, let's say, of the rail freight was it's cheaper than air freight and faster than ocean freight. The problem is that today the situation changed a little bit, right? So we have a very high rate. Ocean freight is maybe on the same level like rail freight. So rail freight is not more expensive than ocean freight. Sometimes it's less expensive, but the transit time is longer, right? Mm-hmm. And comparing to air freight, same. Transit time is longer, but the price also went up. So as I said, there is a position for this product on the market, mm-hmm. and there are some customers who are interested in this. The thing is, if we have the right commodity on these trains, because these days, because the freight rate is quite similar to the rail freight, we have many commodity which is previous sent by ocean, we have on the rail. And I don't think it's a good situation, because today we have much bigger demand than supply, than this infrastructure is possible to accept. That's why we have so many problems with the trains, right? Anyway, I'm really not worried about the demand. Today, this product has the right place on the market, mm-hmm. and as I said before, we don't complain for interest. For the demand, mm-hmm. and for the new orders. So I'm pretty confident that even if the pandemic will be over, even when the subsidies will be over, there will be still customers who will be interested in this. And even if the subsidies from Chinese government are over, as we all know, there are some subsidies already from the Russian government. Who knows what will the Kazakhstan government will offer? So I'm not worried about this, actually.
Thank you, Tomasz, for sharing that. Stefan, from what I understood from before, that Atlantic Forwarding is already operating on block trains from China towards Europe. Now, of course, this means you have a strong demand from your client base with your current customers. Do you see their interest sustaining after the pandemic, and what is your outlook on this then?
This is very, very hard to say today. I believe finally the cargo will find their own ways. I mean, where this fits together the price level together with the transit time. This is the most important thing, and I believe after I don't know when is the pandemic over. Is it next year? Is it maybe in 2 years? I don't know. So I have to say, I believe that after pandemic, yes, there would be a bigger portion on rail to Europe than maybe before. Yeah, I believe that, yes.
Thank you. So the next question I have, actually, it has already been partially answered by our guest here, but I would just like to expand a little bit on that maybe. So can we expect subsidies from other government authorities that are active along the New Silk Road? Now, Tomasz, you mentioned the Russian government already, and Mr. Komora, you also mentioned that there is something to be put in place by the Slovakian government. So maybe, Mr. Komora, you can just give us a little bit more insight on what the process is happening right now, and when do you think this would happen? And to what volume would this impact the Slovakian rail freight market?
Yes, there are two groups of support for combined transport shipments. One is the short term. This will be finalized till the end of this year, and the orientation will be for supporting new lines and new equipment of the operators. It means operators, especially road transport operation, which are operators which are working on the last mile of this kind of transport. and the next one will start on the middle of next year, and we hope that this will be a long-term support based on similar scheme as is now in Austria done. And to be honest, we cannot lie, we try to copy the Austrian scheme, to give to our operator the same support and same conditions as are giving surrounding countries, not to be worse than our foreign colleagues.
Thank you. And I mean, the decision for governments to provide subsidies for rail freight, I think, you know, there's many reasons behind why they would do this, and of course there's political impacts impacting these decisions. Stefan, I know you have quite a lot of contact with various Chinese platforms and operators as METRANS. So from your point of view, you know, what are the thoughts behind providing this and taking this away, and what is happening behind the scenes there?
You know, yeah, subsidies was something like the sweet cherry on the top when all of this Silk Road movement started. So it was somehow like a good marketing, or it put it on a good marketing way to attract a little bit more Silk Road movements. Now, very openly, is it really still need to have some subsidies? It depends. Or it's a point of view. We see that the whole supply chain is changing, and the change which is on the way or which is on the table is still not finished. So we expect that next year there will be still changes on the sea freight market, as the shipping lines are still this year running on the long-term contracts which was negotiated before the pandemic. Now, I think most of the big companies are waiting how the shipping lines will react to that when this period is over, and they will start negotiating again long-term contracts for the longer period. But these negotiations will be at the time when the rates are on a totally high level. So there is still, I would say, when you are comparing such kind of spot cargo on Silk Road or on sea freight, on sea freight you have totally drastic rates. On rail freight you have at least somehow stability for the rate, because you are negotiating nearly each month the rates. But now, when this period is over, everybody is waiting for that the rates will be again raised up, and all of these big players which had the contracts from the time before the pandemic will receive much more higher rates for the sea freight again. And then is it really to put some subsidies? If some of the governments are putting subsidies on Silk Road movements, I would say it's still somehow like from the point of view of marketing, that I want to change the routing of the trains to my country. So,
Tomasz, you have something to add there?
I believe, I think that subsidies at the beginning was announced just to give us, give some time to the train operators, to the platform companies, to the players involved in the New Silk Road, to establish connections and to, you know, correct the procedures, yeah, amend them, make them better and better. So, and I think that the subsidies was mostly announced for this reason, yeah. And we, it was in 2013, so it was like 8 years ago. I think we already are on this level, on this moment, when this product is already well developed, and maybe subsidies are not needed anymore. I mean, of course, there's still plenty of things to do about making this even better and better, but basically all the connections are already fixed. There are some investments on the road in different countries. new investments are announced. So I think we can be relaxed and confident that that for let's say for this product, everything is already arranged. And this is a good moment to stop the subsidies. Yes. So that's what I would like to say. And from the European Union perspective, I don't expect that European Union will offer any subsidies like Chinese government. So I don't believe that this will happen. Maybe they will help to invest, to announce some investments like in the infrastructure. Yes, that's maybe yes, but paying money for sending cargo as a subsidies like we have in China, not really.
No, Mr. Komora, you have something to add there.
Yes. The support of government is not similar with the Chinese one. We are copying on the Austrian system, but there is one topic which is extremely important and which could press us to repeat back to government support, and this is environment and environmental questions. And you know that one question which could increase, or one problem which could increase level of pollution is the length of the way. It means if we will cut the rail transport for 500 or 800 kilometers, it means 800 no driving with production of the pollution. And this is the reason why we think that optimization of rail is also important part of our policy, and it have to be also supported by the government and by European Union, because it's not possible to not to spread the traffic lines all over the Europe.
And of course we have a big problem with drivers, right?
This is second important topic, but it doesn't matter to the Silk Road. It's important that we, for example, from Poland are transporting to Spain, and from Spain back to Poland. We cannot use at present really drivers because we have big problems with number of them, with the sleeping of these drivers, etc. Last year, the policy of European Union can completely change this situation, and this exists one solution. This is combined transport. It means to pick up by the truck the shipment, to transport it to the hub, then rail to the Spain, unload to the truck and deliver to the place of unloading. Yeah. As this is chance for the combined transport, as is not matter with the Silk Road.
Yeah, understood. So I know we've talked a lot about, subsidies, which is a kind of like a top-down approach. But I would also really like to ask, as for small and medium-sized enterprises and logistics companies, regardless of the subsidies, what can they do from a bottom-up level? So what is something that would be your recommendation to really contribute to the rail freight industry, regardless of the subsidies, or if they're rolled back, if they exist or not? So I think this is like, coming at this question in a different angle. Maybe I know that on the table here we have two small and medium-sized enterprise representatives. So, Tomasz, you are from Langowski Logistics. What would be your opinion on this topic then?
Would you mind to...
Yeah, so how can or should small and medium-sized logistics companies contribute to the rail freight industry, regardless of if the subsidies are rolled back or not?
Just like I said before, I think we are at this moment when we don't need to talk about subsidies anymore.
Exactly.
In terms of rail operators, platform companies, but also about in terms of small and medium enterprises. So, from my point of view, I mean, from the point of view of freight forwarders, we are never involved in the subsidies matters. I mean, we were never paid any subsidies. So for us, there is no change. Maybe maybe we can expect some movement in the rates, but who knows what will happen. But this is also an issue for our customers, if they will pay more or less for the transport. Our job is to arrange the transport, and the price or the matter of freight is the matter of if our customer will accept it or not.
Yeah.
But our job is to arrange transport from point A to point B, and of course it's not so simple, but this is what we are doing. So I can tell you only what kind of extra added services companies like us can add to this service, and there are plenty of them. Our customers are medium and small size end customers, but also our customers are freight forwarders, as well as Chinese partners, Chinese agents, or even Chinese platform companies. And we can do different services for them here locally as a local agent for the first and last mile. That's including trucking, warehousing, custom clearance, etc. So, and we are doing this, yeah. For European customers, for customers from Slovakia, for example, we can arrange fiscal custom clearance, which is a big advantage. You don't need to pay any VAT, and after custom clearance, goods are delivered straight to Slovakia customers, and that's it. For warehousing, stripping containers, unloading cargo from the container, and and cross-docking to the regular truck. Based on this, we can achieve some savings, save some money. For example, for long-distance transport by regular truck. Yeah. What else? We cannot forget about LCL cargo, so consolidated cargo on this trains. This is also a very important part of this business. So customers can transport full containers, but also single pallets. It's also an interesting solution.
Yeah. Stefan, you are from Atlantic. I reckon it's very similar.
Very similar what Thomas said. This is also for the German market the same situation, and I have to say, of course, we're also concentrating on middle-sized clients because they fit better to us than the giants, and even especially the shipping lines. They're attacking the bigger clients as well, right? So I fully agree what Thomas said.
Mr. Komora.
Here's also one group of small and medium companies which are out of our business. They are trade or production companies, and Silk Road for them is also important. Why? Because the cutting of the transit times means that they are able to have lower volumes of goods on their warehouses, and that they have less fixed money on the account, goods on the way. It means they need for the same turnover less money because of this cutting of the transit time and cutting of fixed money in this special account. And this is reason which could support a cooperation between all of our companies and all of countries. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So I think what we have taken away is that the subsidy is just only one aspect of rail freight. It's definitely, it is a topic, but it's not, let's say, everything about it. And there's so many other things that can be done and also can be improved. So within the last year and a half, as we already mentioned, there has been an increased popularity of rail freight. But what also came with it were a lot of problems. So severe congestion, imbalance of containers, complications at the borders, etc., etc. And all of these are impacting the full ecosystem of rail freight. So I guess my next question would really be, what do you see as the key challenges that need to be tackled in the near future to really maintain continuous growth of this product and people's trust in this product? Maybe Stefan from METRANS, sorry to always pick on you. You can start with this question from left to right.
No, it's okay. What we see, each part of the supply chain is facing with the same issues. Doesn't matter if you are going by ship, by rail, or by air. All the time you have the same issues, or nearly the same issues. Where we see a big potential for the growth is that not to bring more and more connections between China and Europe. I mean, new places, new train connections, but use the existing ones which are already approved, which showed to the market that there is importance for that connections, and develop this kind of already running connections. I mean that on the other hand, also where we see a huge potential for the development in the future, once all the infrastructures will finish their reconstruction works, then it will again help to the rail network within Europe to speed up, to move again faster, and be again reliable partner for that kind of movements. What, on the other hand, we are not able to influence is the cargo flow. We still see, after so many years of movements, that eastbound or westbound, all the time you have not balanced cargo flow. So, and this is really a huge, or this makes huge impacts on the transit times. What we can see nowadays, for example, there is a huge demand for import movements from China to Europe, but the export movement from Europe to China is still not growing. The reason is simple. Sea freight rates are still, for the export movements, very low, and everybody is, when he's exporting his cargo from European Union to China, for them the price is one of the key factors. Shipping lines are supporting them because they are happy to see the containers are going back to China. They see that at least a part of the ship can be put it with loaded containers, and somehow it's covering their costs. And this is a huge issue, I would say.
I mean, then for the rail carriers, obviously, they also then have the same, I would say, thought that it would still be of benefit for the containers to move backwards. So
I can say very openly that now we are moving daily import train from China to our network, which is within 6 countries, or network of METRANS is covering actually 6 countries of Europe. And now we have each day an incoming train from China to Polish borders, to Malaszewice, and then we are spreading it through our network. All of them are fully loaded with loaded containers, but on the export side, even we need to rotate the rail cars back to be able to move and reload, but the volume which we are moving is only for 2 trains.
So the cost-wise, the cost of doing this is much higher than on ocean freight.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it's such a difficult question.
But you know, this is our part of the job, like rail operator. We need to make and find the best possible way how to manage it, and to show to the customers that we are taking care in the round trips of the trains, of the cargo, so they don't need to be afraid of that, okay, what will happen on my export shipments because you have no enough rail cars. This is our part of the job. We are facing with it. We are moving it successfully, and we are keeping it to keep Silk Road movements on a very high service level, and not to show to anybody that the easiest way will be to able to say, sorry, we are not sending any cargo to Polish borders because there is not enough cargo for the whole train. But this is not the way how we are acting. Everybody need to see and need to be aware of the whole supply chain. Somewhere you need to invest to be successful on the other side. So.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I guess I will direct the speech to maybe the other Stefan sitting on the other side. So in your opinion, what are the key challenges to be tackled in the near future for continuous growth on rail? What problems do you see that are also pressing that need to be solved?
First of all, I think we need export on rail back to China because, first of all, the equipment has to go back, that we can bring back westbound business to Europe again. So I believe that we need, of course, we need reasonable price level on the export railway to compete to sea freight, of course. But in any case, we have a big advantage because of transit time. As long we can solve our problems on the rail, because we talk about the problems we have in the moment. There's congestion on the borders, and I expecting also congestion on the borders when we use the rail to China. Same situation when we're coming to countries like Ukraine or something like that. They have a hobby. The hobby means we will control all what's coming through our countries. That means there must be some influence from the politics. We have to go to Mr. Lukashenko and say, listen, you must support. This is for sure.
Tomasz.
Hello. Okay. What I want to say, the unbalance between import and export between China and Europe was always a problem, was always the issue. If you look at the ocean market, this was always an issue. So there was always bigger inbound than westbound than eastbound, right? Before pandemic, as far as I know, there was a balance on the rail freight, actually on the New Silk Road. So there were, if I spoke with some platform companies, they didn't complain about the number of trains for westbound and eastbound. Maybe it was not equal, but they didn't have any problem to keep the balance. After the pandemic started, we have a lot of much more import from China for personal protection equipment and many other goods which are connected with pandemic. So this balance was unfortunately stopped. And right now, I think we need to, and sooner or later, we should expect balance again when the situation will be back to normal. But this is one thing, and the other thing is, just like I said before, a train from China or the rail freight solution on the New Silk Road was faster than ocean, right, and cheaper than air freight. It's still cheaper than air freight, but this advantage of transit time comparing to ocean, we lost it somehow, right? Today, we can forget about transit time with 2 weeks from China to Poland. It's much longer, almost 1 month. And so it's quite similar to the ocean. So we need to do everything to return to this situation when the transit time was much faster, to keep this advantage running.
What do you think are the key, let's say, points to tackle to return this balance then? Is it just something that would fall back after the pandemic, or which aspects would you say we could make more efficient?
Investments, infrastructure. This is most important because the rail freight from China is the victim of its own success. So I think no one was expecting such boom with this service. So the infrastructure is not ready. It's not ready. I mean, there are some investments already announced or finished, but it's still not enough. We need to invest more. I mean, our governments on the way on the New Silk Road, they need to invest in the point line infrastructure in the railways, and then the point infrastructure terminals. Okay, this can be done by the private companies, and I'm not worried about this. The most important is investments in the railways, in the new connections, new railways, yes, on these existing routes. Then, of course, we can for example, if we talk about Poland, there is not only Malaszewice-Brest cross-border. There are plenty of other cross borders, which we can use. And it's already announced. It's already announced, and soon we could expect that the trains will go another way than Malaszewicze, and this should help. This should help to reduce the bottleneck which we have right now, and let's say save some time, so we could wait for these big investments which are also already announced. You know, like 4 years ago, I was on the event in Warsaw, Hafenabend, arranged by the Port of Hamburg, and I met the top management of PKP and PLK, so it's our state-owned national rail operator and a company who is responsible for the railway, and for the railways. And I asked the question, gentlemen, why we all can already observe the problem in Malaszewicze, the bottlenecks. So why there are no investment announced? And they said that. But how can be sure that these trains from China will be running all the time? We are not sure. So how we could, why you are expecting from us investments in billions of Polish zlotys or euro if we are not sure about that? So, thanks God, the way of thinking changed, and yeah, and today we heard about a big investment. For example, in Malaszewicze, investment in the railways for €1 billion, and we are waiting for this. After this investment, we could accept much longer trains and much heavier trains, and also this should help to reduce the bottleneck in Malaszewicze. But as I said, there are Malaszewicze and other cross borders which can be used. So in terms of Poland, we have some ideas, solutions, which should work and should help.
I think this is a point of discussion because quite a few are interested in jumping on this. Stefan, I will come to you. Mr. Komora, you raised your hand first, so if you want to take
Okay, I will only add one information that it is not necessary to load containers directly in central Slovakia. We could send empty containers to Ukraine, and Ukraine have a lot of products which are interesting on the Chinese market. This is first question, and regarding this risk for the future, it's absolutely true that it could be risky for all of us, for Polish friends and for us too, because as I read 2-3 years before, previous Afghanistan government told that they will build up their railways. They have nearly no railways in Afghanistan, and they will build up these railways on the base of European technology. It means gauge of Europe. It means we will have between China and Europe one line which is completely one gauge. It means no reloading on China's-Kazakhstan border, no reloading of containers on Slovak-Ukrainian borders. This could be risk for us, but on the other side, of course, it's a little bit longer away, but on the other side, this is good for a new product, which will be maybe 2 days shorter transit times, and this could change the situation on the market again. It means I will only confirm that yes, it was told properly.
Yeah. Stefan, you had something to add.
Yeah, I was listening, Tomasz, and what from our point of view is still missing is that European countries are not acting as one. So it was exactly showed that Poland is investing huge amount of money to make the terminal bigger. But there are already existing terminals, for example, in Slovakia, where trains are not coming. But we need to see and we need to understand the thinking of Chinese people. They see that there is only one route through Poland to European Union. Until they change their mind, it takes too long. So the volume is growing. And they all the time just see that, okay, here is one route through Poland coming to the European Union. For example, from our point of view, from METRANS point of view, the discussions with our Chinese partners, with Chinese platforms, to route at least some of the trains through Ukraine, through Slovakia, takes nearly 2 years till they decided and till they mentioned, okay, we will send at least some of the trains through Ukraine and to use that way. But as mentioned, there is acting one some kind of institute who is acting as one, and to show that there are already existing network which you can use. We see that Chinese are already trying to come to Europe through the South line, so through Turkey and again up to Europe. So they are trying to find some ways how to avoid such kind of things and how to make again Silk Road popular and fancy. But it seems there is something missing in between.
Tomasz, you had something to add or counter?
Yeah, I mean, from the Polish point of view, we don't mind. Every train can go via Poland. So, but no, this is such big cake, but there will be a piece for everyone, I think. Maybe we as a countries from the European Union, should cooperate together to convince Chinese to use our passages, our countries for these trains, also as a transit countries, because what we can see, okay, Russians are also a big player in this on this new Silk Road, right? So they also are deciding where the trains are going and where not. So I believe that the issue with Ukraine is connected with Russia, of course, with the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. From Polish perspective, we are also interested to send trains via Ukraine, because we have a very nice terminal in Slavkov with the access of the Russian gauge railways. So we are also interested in that. But we can see as a Poland, we can see the bigger and bigger amount of trains which are going via Kaliningrad. So I don't believe this is a good solution for Poland and for the European Union, for our countries in the Central Europe, because we are not even a transit country. We are not even we cannot talk about Poland or Slovakia or Central Europe as a logistic hub, because if the trains will go via Kaliningrad, then we are not even a transit country, right? So we need to think about that, if this is the right way, or what we should do to again send this train via our countries. So maybe basically that's what I wanted to add.
Exactly. This is like Tomasz mentioned, that we need to act as a one. So and now we are acting everybody, and at the end of the game, it can be easily done that no one of our countries will be used as a transit, because they will choose Kaliningrad, and then even Poland and Slovakia will just see that, okay, the trains are not passing our territory and they are just using other way. So.
But I think, it's really it's again, then this goes back to kind of like the typical image of the European Union, that there's so many different countries with different interests that it's very hard to have one voice in terms of developing these. And I think this transits quite nicely to my last question, which I think will also be the last. So we also have some time to answer the questions on the screen. Is that there is a very fine line between having, let's say, a lot of hubs versus having the right hubs. And I think at the moment there are a lot of cities waving the flag of the new Silk Road and saying, hey, we are becoming a new Silk Road hub. But then at the same time, you also say, there's so many points that are having congestion that they cannot digest. So I guess the last question is, what is your opinion about, the right logic to develop the correct hub and spoke system for the rail product?
I think I already touched somehow this question, because I mentioned that there are coming new and new incomers who are sending trains, receiving trains, but these are somehow like short time period projects. So they are sending one train, huge marketing behind it, and then you never see again the train. And okay, maybe it will not use the right wording for that, but they are just blocking the trains on the route, which are regular trains. So if all of involved parties are considering the routings which are already tested, the terminals which are already working, and they showed that there are other connections, for example, from Slovakia, how to go to Hungary, to Austria, to Germany, to Poland, then it's not really necessary to block with some other trying trains if it's work or not works. So we should concentrate on the network of terminals which are already placed, which are already working, and not just using and trying something new and something new.
Yeah. Thank you very much. For this question, do any of you have anything to add specifically?
Only to the last topic that exists also another kind of hub, and like close to the Žilina, close to this big production plant of Kia, and this hub could accept complete train of containers from Korea, for example. It means there exists other kind of hub which could be built in case that the customer will need it. It means we cannot block it.
Yeah. Tomasz?
Yes, so from my perspective, I believe that I fully agree with my colleagues. So we should basically focus on the existing connections. We heard about some new connection announced. One train goes, and then there is nothing more. So, and just like you said, it's blocking the space for the regular trains. Let's face it, the current infrastructure, the liner infrastructure, railways, is not ready to accept more and more trains, unlimited number. There is some capacity, and we need to, check what kind of capacity we have and how many trains we can run. So I'm sorry, but from my perspective, I'm not sure if Chinese, let's say, government or Chinese companies are controlling this, actually. Okay, they are sending more and more trains because maybe they still are trying to get more and more subsidies or earn more money, but at the end of the day we are losing the quality, we are losing this advantage which we had comparing to ocean freight, for example. So this is not the right way. The other thing is, just like we have in the European Union, different countries which sometimes cooperate with each other, but sometimes there are competition. I think the similar situation are in China with the provinces, which are also competition for each other, yeah, and trying to get more cargo from their province or send more trains than the other province. So, and this is a strategy when there is no control about the volume, the capacity. And now we have situation like we have right now. Problem, bottlenecks, congestions, and so on. So we need to do something. Of course, investment in the infrastructure, in the point and line infrastructure. This is important. But we need some time to finish this investment. So what we should do during this time.
Yeah.
I want to only confirm it that we did not discuss question of overcrowded infrastructure for railway. I think colleagues from Germany do have experience, especially Port of Hamburg, with this. It means, yes, there is one issue which could make us problem in the future, and we have to be also solved with the support of the government, and this is infrastructure and the capacity of infrastructure for our industry.
Thank you very much. And I think, thank you. We have had quite a long discussion here and a very interesting discussion. We have around 15 minutes left, so I would just like to maybe go through a few of the questions that are on the screen, and if anyone below has some additional questions, perhaps we can, our panelists will be interested in addressing them after this session. So the first question, instead of subsidies, we should discuss higher demand above the existing capacity. Any plans of Chinese government to increase it? Any one of you would like to take this question, since it has not been directed to a specific person?
From Slovakia's side, we can tell that, yes, our government in the past did not give enough money And it was visible on our discussion at the beginning of this conference and this event, which we have on another stage, that in comparison with surrounding countries, till the 2017 year, the government gave less money than other countries, less money. Now they are trying to do all the best to repair it, but this is not like, it's not so easy to do it, because if you did not repair for many years railway, and if you did not build up, it is not possible to start on 25 places reconstruction or improving of the speed. You are able to block or to decrease the speed on 2, 4, 3 places to rebuild the railway and then postpone to another place. It means this could be really big problem. But the government is now working on this, and they promise that they will support it. It was visible on the newspaper also. And regarding capacity, good luck. We was not in situation like colleagues from Czech Republic on railway between Praha and Česká Třebová, and the colleague from Germany with railway from Hamburg when was completely blocked. We are building, we are improving speed on the rail. We are trying to transport longer train. It means the railway station have to be slightly changed, because our length of our railway station is extremely short in comparison with the other countries. This means we are working on it, and I hope the speed of rebuilding and repairing of the highway or reconstruction will be higher in the future.
Tomasz, you have something to add to this topic?
Yes, I would like to answer this question, if you don't mind. So,
yeah.
We don't have any representation of Chinese government here, so hard for me to say what are their plans are. But okay, maybe I'm the wrong optimistic person, but I think we don't need to worry about the demand or the number of commodity which could be transported by trains. We already have regular customers who are convinced that this is the right solution for them, and if the pandemic will be over, if the subsidies will be over, we don't know on which level the rates will be fixed. But I think there will be still a number of customers who would like to use this service. Let's point, for example, e-commerce. This solution is just the perfect solution for e-commerce business, right? So, and we can see how e-commerce is growing. There's a huge boom for e-commerce. So we can expect that there will be enough demand to fulfill the current capacity which we have in the moment. Based on the investments which are already announced, capacity will be bigger and bigger, but we also can expect much bigger demand. So that's my point of view.
Thank you very much.
I don't think that Chinese government at this moment need to be involved a lot in this product. It's already, it's already well established product on the market.
Maybe from my point of view, on this topic we can exactly see which countries are well-developed political connections with China and which not. For example, we see how Chinese are investing in Serbia. They are nearly fully reconstructing their rail infrastructure. We see how Chinese are putting money or development to Hungary. Mm-hmm. So really these countries and these political connections in behind, we can see that also Chinese government is thinking ahead, mm-hmm. and they see that the new potential markets which are coming for them are Balkan countries, mm-hmm. South Europe, and they are investing already a lot of money to these countries to develop them, to develop their infrastructure, their seaports, everything. So, mm-hmm. yeah, I think already these plans already started and they are already running it.
Thank you very much. So we have around 10 minutes left. Hopefully we can get through maybe two of the remaining questions. So let's see. So the potential growth in demand for rail freight in the V4 region. I guess this is a if we know, yes or no question. So anyone would like to pick this up? Or maybe we
should
can...
be answered by the domestic partners here.
I have the sheet with the figures, but I do not know the percentage. But these figures do not make me happy.
Okay, maybe it's a topic for further discussion then. The remaining two questions, Mr. Esztergalyos. What are the public network development plans of METRANS in our region, which I assume our region is the one we are sitting in right now? And will Chinese trains call new terminals?
Yeah, this is maybe a question. What does it mean, the public network? Public network from our point of view is totally different than the public network from the market point of view. We as company METRANS have actually running 17 container terminals, which are not public. That means that we are visiting them by our own trains. They are reserved for our own trains. Of course, we are visiting also other terminals, not only METRANS terminals. We have connections there, and yeah, this is the first part of the question. And will Chinese trains call new terminals? We are working again on Dunajska Streda connection through Ukraine. Actually, there was already announced for October that we will receive 4 trains coming from China through Ukraine to Dunajska Streda. But again, there is COVID, and we have seen that on the border crossing between China and Kazakhstan, there was catched 2 non-symptomatic COVID guys. So the trains will be postponed, but we are prepared. We are ready to have more trains and more new connections in our network, but everything depends on the situation which will be on the market.
Yeah. I think this question also slightly touches on the next question, which is directed to Mr. Komora. So what is the situation on the Ukrainian-Slovakian border? Connection is live or okay for transit, especially intermodal trains? So I think Mr. Escher, Stefan here slightly answered it for you, but maybe you want to add?
He can answer also because METRANS have fresh information about situation on Ukraine and Slovak border, but to be honest, this is not major problem for Silk Road.
Yeah.
Our problem for Silk Road is relation between Russia and Ukraine and the problems from the past regarding the wagons and no returning of wagons and big damages between the railways operators on Ukraine and Russia. Regarding the Slovak-Ukrainian border, we feel as a bigger problem. It means we, as the Association of Logistics and Freight Forwarding, the problems which are given to the road transport. And now we are trying to change all this situation to start this regular transport. And regarding the rail transport or lane border, biggest problem is on the business side and on the side, as I told, Russia, Ukraine. This is problem. And what was else? Intermodal train. Yeah, I think we will be able to transport more and more trains without any necessary or big investments to the infrastructure.
Thank you. So the last question, I think, is which we will be able to address today is, do you consider the middle corridor between China and Europe passing through Baku, Tbilisi and Istanbul as an alternative to the North Corridor? Now, this southern corridor or middle corridor, depending on who we are talking to, has definitely been of interest, and I see our friends from Turkey there smiling, so maybe this question is very of interest to you. I guess, which one of you would like to maybe address this question? Okay, Stefan, you raise your hand.
Yeah, we see a demand for that corridor from especially from our Chinese platforms. And at the same time, we are working again on the connection between Turkey and the network of METRANS. But due to the situation, the pandemic situation, the negotiations taking much more longer than we have seen in the past. But we are preparing ourselves for that. So everybody is expecting that by the next year there should be again running this Istanbul, Europe trains of METRANS. But all the details will be announced later to the market.
Mr. Komora, you wanted to add something?
And for the friends from Turkey, there is another possibility. This is China, Afghanistan, Iran, Turkey, Europe. This is line without any reloading from the vessel or to the vessel, any reloading from the one system of railway to another. It means one train or one wagon from China to the central of Europe. This is chance. It's necessary to check it, and it's necessary to press to the politician, and of course to start to negotiate with the new government in Afghanistan, which could be a problem.
Thank you very much. Tomasz, you wanted to add something?
Yes, first of all, I would like to apologize because I just realized that I understood the previous question which I answered in the wrong way, so it was not about demand but capacity, but I'm sorry for that.
No problem.
Anyway, I just want to add to this middle of South Corridor, depends how you name it, but it's in the Polish perspective, in the Polish point of view, it's also interesting for us because there are different models of this corridor, and one of the models was going from Tbilisi, as far as I remember, to Odessa, then to Slavkov. The most important thing is that this solution is to completely omit Russia and Russian embargo. So from this perspective, of course, President Putin agreed to transit of embargo goods via Russian territory, but still this solution is omitting Russia, so Russia has no rather influence on this corridor, which I think could be a kind of advantage, right? Russians are, of course, very interested to keep the trains running via their territory, but this is completely different solution, much more complicated, more transshipments involved, so not easy, but keeping finger crossed for this, because it's always good to have a few options.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And I think we've basically run out of time. And I would like to say thank you very much to the wonderful panelists for joining us on this discussion today. Maybe give them a round of applause for the information and insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.